Hi, everybody. I'm Carrie McManus, Senior Marketing Manager at Astra Books for Young Readers.
And I'm also a Senior Marketing Manager at Astra Books for Young Readers. I'm Lynette Kim.
All right, we're going to tell you a little bit about our Spring 23 key titles, so let's get going.
All right, we're going to dive right in with Papa's Magical Water Jug Clock. The multi-hyphenate Jesus Trejo is a comedian. He's had his own Showtime comedy special. He's on the Netflix show Mr. Iglesias, and he hosts a reality show where he and celebrities sample taco trucks all over LA. He and Tejana artist Eliza Kinks teamed up for a joyful, proud homage to everyday immigrant working class life and family, drawn from the author's own childhood. And the result is a zany, raucous picture book in the vein of Pete the Cat and No David. Next slide, please. It is Saturday. Little Jesus goes on a landscaping job with his father in his very cool van with all his very cool tools. Papa gives him a special job. Little Jesus is in charge of a magical water jug clock. Why is it magical? Because when it runs out, it means the workday is done. Next. It's a hot day though, and little Jesus finds himself giving water to the thirsty animals that come through. Turns out there are a lot of thirsty animals, and before you know it, the water jug's empty way before the workday is done. Next slide. Will little Jesus be fired? Is a water jug really magical? And this is just from the end papers in the book, which I love and wanted to show you. Next slide. It was a funny, heartwarming story with a mischievous little hero who has a big lesson to learn, and we are proud to be publishing it in both English and Spanish. Next slide. We're going to talk about a delicious story. Barney Salzberg recently partnered with Jamie Lee Curtis for the book, What Do You See? He's back with a delicious story. Little Mouse is looking for a story. After all, they're in a book, but Big Mouse has a confession. Story's gone because he ate it. What follows is just a delightful back and forth between the two mice. Next slide, please. And next slide. And next slide. Clearly, creativity takes patience and discipline. Next slide. Sometimes it means making and fixing mistakes. And next slide. These two will also have to work out a few kinks in their friendship along the way. Next slide. This is one of those books that has a meta approach, great for fans of the book with no words. There's a monster at the end of this book and Elephant and Piggy. By the time you get to the surprise at the end, you realize Big Mouse and Little Mouse have been delivering a story all along. Next, we're going to talk about Luna Ranchera. Welcome to the gritty Nuevo Wild West. This is the origin story from two creators of the glamorous mother-daughter singing doggy duo, Luna Ranchera. Next slide. Long ago, poor Luna was down on her luck, starving and struggling to feed her pups. She was reduced to thieving from nearby ranchers. One day, escaping another heist, Luna has to hide in the worst possible place, on top of a beehive. She howls in pain so loudly, it carries all across the desert. Next slide. But then something magical happens. Luna's musical wails captivate creatures far and wide. Next. Her most rebellious pup, Ranchera, joins her, and soon the two become the most famous howling singing act in the Nuevo West. Next. This is a rags to riches tale of resilience and grit, and it's peppered with Spanish words throughout. It was written by children's lit influencer Rodrigo Mordesan and illustrated with knockout art from rising star illustrator Mariana Ruiz Johnson. Luna Ranchera will spark the imagination of dog lovers, little performers, and music lovers alike.
Okay, on to me. Introduce kids to physics through play, poetry, and a puppy in this joyous celebration of how physics matters in our everyday lives and push-pull morning, dog-powered poems about matter and energy. Kids can explore scientific concepts, including gravity, magnetism, electricity, and friction, through the story of the relationship between a child and a puppy. The poems in this book convey concepts in a way that young readers will remember, often with humor. The whimsical illustrations extend the humor and the love in this tale of a child, a dog, and the energy that abounds in our world. Extensive notes at the end of the book define and explain the physics subjects included in the poems. This is a fun and unique pick for Poetry Month in April. It's poetry, science, and a story all rolled into one. Unusual book, and teachers, parents, and kids, especially dog lovers, will find a lot to like.
All right, How Birds Sleep by husband-wife duo David Obikowski and Sarah Pedri. If ever there was a comforting nonfiction bedtime read aloud, this is it. Next. Through short, soothing prose and paintings, this fascinating book shows birds in their nighttime environments, whether it's in urban or rural areas. Next. Or on land or on sea. Next. The extensively researched details and beautiful art will delight everyone, from the littlest city kid to the youngest country dweller. Next. It includes back matter notes on climate change and even a few practical tips on how kids can help our bird friends get a little more shut-eye. Next, back to Carrie.
Right. You Are My Pride is a powerfully written and beautifully illustrated picture book by the award-winning author illustrator team of Carol Boston Weatherford and E.B. Lewis. In the book, Mother Africa addresses her offspring of all colors in all corners of the earth, reminding us of our timeless bond. This picture book is written in the voice of Mother Africa, who speaks to her children, human beings, through stunning text that pulses with the love between mother and child. Before words or tools or fire, Mother Africa's cave sheltered us, and her forests fed us. She could not protect us from all dangers, but like mothers everywhere, she gave her children all she could and sent us into the world with confidence and love. This book includes back matter with nonfiction information about human evolution and all about the migration of the Homo sapiens from Africa around the globe. Carol Boston Weatherford is a best-selling, multi-winning author and poet. And as I said before, this book has stunning illustrations by E.B. Lewis. This book is an excellent launching point for the discussion of important topics with kids like evolution and anti-racism. It includes an author's note, and it's also an irresistible read aloud and a bedtime story as well. Okay, next up, kicking off our terrific women's history titles for spring 2023. Here is The Brilliant Calculator. Long before calculators were invented, little Edith Clark devoured numbers, conquered calculations, cracked puzzles, and breezed through brain teasers. Edith wanted to be an engineer, to use numbers she saw all around her to help build America. When she grew up, no one would hire a woman engineer, though. But that didn't stop Edith from following her passion and putting her lightning quick mind to the problems of electricity. But the calculations took so long. Always curious, Edith couldn't help thinking of better ways to do things. This is an engaging history of a woman in STEM and the first children's book on the topic. It has innovative illustrations that reflect the subject matter. It has many curriculum connections, and it's extensively researched with detailed back matter. Another women's history title, discover the untold yet inspiring story of Amy Beach, musician extraordinaire and the first successful woman composer in Pitch Perfect and Persistent. With perfect pitch and fierce persistence, Amy Beach always knew she had to make music, but there was one big problem. Her mother believed it was not proper or suitable for a young lady to draw attention to herself, let alone take on a musical career. But give in or give up, not Amy Beach. Luckily for the world, Amy's persistence paid off. At just 16 years old, Amy found herself on the stage in Boston's Music Hall and at the start of a brilliant career, a female composer who paved the way perfectly. This picture book celebrates creativity and allows kids to combine music, history, and literacy in a fun and exciting way. Like I said, it's a great choice for Women's History Month, and it's also impeccably researched and full of resources for teachers and librarians.
All right, on a very different note, One Cool Duck, King of Cool. This is for audiences of PB&J, Taco and Pizza, and Dogman and Cat Kid. Meet Duck and the gang, they love a good time. Next. They're not afraid to express their encouragement with expressions that are code for kids, like good game, sick trick, or easy peasy. Then a new kid shows up. Dun, dun, dun. Next slide. Cat is not very kind. It's up to Duck and his friends to show Cat that being kind is actually very cool. Next. The first thing I know you noticed is how Mike Petrick's colors and characters just pop. This book is a visual delight. The combination of humor and graphics and all around positive vibes is a great choice for reluctant readers. One Cool Duck is the first in a series and will pub simultaneously in paperback and paper overboard. And next we have The Love Report. This is the first book in a candy-colored tween graphic novel series. Becca's the name of a well-known pair of French writers, Caroline Roque and Bertrand Escache. Escache, I guess Escache, sorry. Illustrator Maya is Italian-born cartoonist Martina Mura. Next. Grace and Lola have questions about boys, love, and romance. Why do some couples work and others don't? To figure it out, they come up with an idea. They'll observe, interview, and analyze their classmates and compile their findings in a notebook. What they find out, including things about each other, will surprise them. Next, the art is inspired by manga. It's incredibly stylish, and I mean that on many levels. Next slide. I would wear the fashion in this book personally. And next slide. The Love Report is feminine, feminist, and fun. There are sweet moments when the girls dialogue about everything from pre-adolescent insecurities to issues of divorce. My favorite thing about the novel is that Grace and Lola learn about seeing past stereotypes, especially those that haunt girls. This is the first of 2 volumes with more to come. And back to Carrie for our last title.
Yeah. So Nikki Grimes' beloved novel in verse, Garvey's Choice, is now a graphic novel, imaginatively and dramatically illustrated by Little Shack artist Theodore Taylor III. Garvey's father has always wanted Garvey to be athletic, but Garvey is interested in astronomy, science fiction, reading, anything but sports. Feeling like a failure, he comforts himself with food. And he's kind, he's funny, and he's smart, but he's also overweight, teased by bullies, and very lonely. When his only friend encourages him to join the school chorus, Garvey discovers his voice and himself. He also finds a way to finally reach his distant father by speaking the language of music. Garvey's Choice was a School Library Journal Best Book, a Kirkus Reviews Best Book, and a Lee Bennett Hopkins Poetry Award Honor Book. With Theodore Taylor III's full-color illustrations, this graphic novel edition is both enthralling and inspiring. As you probably already know, Nikki Grimes is a best-selling multi-award-winning author. Graphic novels are so popular, and we're so excited for this new format, which will allow readers to appreciate Garvey's story visually. I think that wraps it up for us, Lynette.
I think so. Thanks for joining us and tuning in.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.